Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. I welcome you all to the class of Al-Mulakhas Fiqhy. And we are in the first volume. We just started, alhamdulillah. I also got my copy, alhamdulillah, Al-Mulakhas Fiqhy, online forever store. Alhamdulillah, it has yellow pages. You could see now. Alhamdulillah. So we are in Kitab al-Tahara, and we've done Babun fi Ahkam al-Tahara wal-Miyah. We've done water, types of water. We've also done utensils, Aniyati wa Thiyab al-Kufar, and clothes of Kufar. Now this is the third chapter in Kitab al-Tahara. Kitab al-Tahara, this is the third chapter. So let's start. Babun. So this is how it is. No, this book is very summarized. That's why it's called Mulakhas, summarized fiqh. And it'll be short lessons, alhamdulillah. And if you finish this book, you'll get a good foundation in fiqh, inshallah. Especially the second volume, Muamalat and all that. Inshallah, it gives you a good idea about almost everything. Basic, stuff, inshallah. فيما يحرم على المحدث مزاولته من العمل. Babun, so it's a bab chapter. What it's prohibited on the Muhdith. You know who's the Muhdith? We said Hadath is the one who does ritual impurity, right? It's called Muhdith. The person is called Muhdith, the one who urinates or the one who goes to the washroom, breaks his wudu, Muhdith, or his ghusl. Muzawalatuhu min al-amal. Muzawala is like indulging from the actions, doing those actions. So what is prohibited? So if you don't have wudu, what are the things which are prohibited for you to do? So he says, هناك بعض من الأعمال التي يحرم على المسلم إذا لم يكن على طهارة أن يزاولها لشرفها ومكانتها. There's some deeds which Muslims are prohibited to perform unless they're in a state of purity. Why? Because those things are sharafiha wa makanatiha, because those things are great and the loftiness of those deeds. وهذه الأعمال نبينها لك بأدلتها. So these actions we will explain with evidences. We will give evidences. لتكون منك على بال, so that it becomes منك على بال. Bal means hal generally. So that you can think about them, so that you can familiarize the reader about it. فلا تقدم على واحد منها إلا بعد التهيؤ له بالطهارة المطلوبة. So that فلا تقدم, so that you don't go ahead with these actions على واحد منها, that is on any one of them, إلا بعد التهيؤ, after preparation. تهيأ يتهيأ, preparation, until له, you prepare yourself with tahara. So you don't do these actions without tahara. اعلم يا أخي, he says, oh my brother. I don't know why the ones who translate, they generally change the first person, to more, third person, maybe to make it more professional or something. But I like, personalized. Arabic is generally personalized. The Sheikh will directly speak to you. No, i'lam ya akhi, oh my brother, rahimakallah, they'll do dua. It's more easier to digest, I guess. But the English translation, what they do is they make it third person and cold. You understand? That's why Arabic is far better, I believe. اعلم يا أخي أن هناك أشياء تحرم على المحدث. Know, oh my brother, that there are things which are. So that's why I translate from here. If I'm unable to translate, I'll look at the translation, inshallah. أشياء تحرم على المحدث, which are haram on the muhdith. سواء كان حدثه أكبر أو أصغر. And this copy which I have, it has harakats also at the end of the word. So alhamdulillah, very good copy. This is of Dar ibn al-Jawzi. If you can get a hand, this is the copy which they supply in India generally. Ibn al-Jawzi's, Dar Ibn al-Jawzi's. So it has, the i'rab, harakatul i'rab, the endings. So that makes it easier to read. وهناك أشياء يختص تحريمها بمن هو محدث حدثا أكبر. So he says what? There's something which are haram, okay? سواء كان, it's the same, كان حدثه أكبر أو أصغر. So last time we learned there's hadath akbar, right? Major impurity. When person, he emits money, that is, has intercourse, or that's called major impurity. No? Then there's smaller impurity, he goes, he urinates. وهناك أشياء يختص تحريمها بمن هو محدث حدثا أكبر. There's some things which are same for major or minor, and there are some things which is only haram or not allowed for major, for akbar, حدثا أكبر فقط. So we'll start with فالأشياء التي تحرم على المحدث أي الحدثين. So he'll start with things which are prohibited for both the hadath. It doesn't matter if you're in minor or major, if you're junub or not, or muhdith. First is massul mushaf al-sharif, touching the glorious book of the Quran. فلا يمسه المحدث بدون حائل. So it is prohibited to يمسه, massa يمسه, the muhdith, the one who is in major impurity, should not touch it without any cover, without any biduli ha'il, without any what do you say, which prevents direct contact. لقوله تعالى لا يمسه إلا المطهرون. Only Allah said none touch it except the purified. أي المتطهرون من الحدث جنابة أو غيرها. That is هو متطهرون من الحدث, those who are pure from hadath, janabatan, it could be janaba, major, and أو غيرها, or others. على قولي بأن المراد بهم المطهرون من البشر. Because there are some people, there are some scholars who've said that the mutahharuna here are from the human beings, right? If we take the meaning that these are human beings. من البشر وهناك من يرى أن المراد بهم الملائكة الكرام. And some said no, this is referring to the ملائكة الكرام, to the angels, to the angels. So the one of the opinion that this is means it is for human beings. So that means we should not touch it without wudu. وحتى لو فسرت الآية بأن المراد بهم الملائكة, he says, even if the verse is interpreted that the words the purified refer to the angels, فإن ذلك يتناول البشر بدلالة الإشارة. It also includes human beings due to ishara, he says. This is an indication, by implication. It's implied. It includes. So that is the one of the evidences. And there's hadith also كما ورد في الكتاب الذي كتبه الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم لعمر بن حزم, and from a kitab, which a letter which was sent, a risala kitab, which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam wrote to Ahl Yaman, from the hadith of Amr ibn Hazm, where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said لا يمس المصحف إلا طاهر. I have mushafa in this. So this version which I have is the updated version, I guess. Here it is لا يمس القرآن إلا طاهر رواه النسائي وغيره متصلا. The wording I have is لا يمس المصحف إلا طاهر. So we have to go back to Nasai and check what is the correct wording, because in the updated I have mushaf. So I think that is more correct. أخرجه من الحديث. Let me see what's there in Nasai. I found both. Yeah, both are there. The both wordings are there. And not in Nasai, Daraqutni and others, in Malik. I searched on durar.net now, and I see the hadith here. Okay, رواه مالك في الموطأ والصحيح ابن عبد البعض. So this hadith has been authenticated also. Sheikh bin Baz says هذا يدل على أن المصحف لا يمسه إلا طاهر. بإسناد وقد رواه أبو داود والنسائي بإسناد صحيح كما ذكر الزيلعي صاحب نصب الراية بإسناد صحيح عن عمرو بن حزم. So some have weakened this hadith, but inshallah this is a correct hadith, sahih. Okay. Next page for me. قال ابن عبد البر إنه أشبه المتواتر لتلقي الناس له بالقبول. Ibn Abd al-Bar rahimahullah says إنه, this hadith is most likely to be a mutawatir, he says. أشبه المتواتر, it resembles a mutawatir لتلقي الناس, because of people accepting it and commonly accepted by scholars. So he's giving references for that. See Tamheed of Ibn Abd al-Bar. قال الشيخ الإسلام عن منع مسح المصحف لغير متطهر. And Shaykh al-Islam also said of a prohibition of the one who touches. هو مذهب الأئمة الأربعة. It is the madhab of the four imams. وقال ابن هبيرة في الإفصاح. Ibn Hubayra rahimahullah also says أجمع يعني الأئمة الأربعة أنه لا يجوز للمحدث مس المصحف. Ibn Hubayra says it's not allowed for the muhdith مس المصحف, to touch the mushaf. انتهى. ولا بأس, but he says ولا بأس أن يحمل غير متطهر المصحف بغلاف أو كيس من غير أن يمسه. It's no problem that he carries it for the one who is muhdith or who's not pure, to carry the mushaf in a ghilaf, in a cover or a bag, so that to not touch it directly. وكذلك لا بأس أن ينظر فيه ويتصفحه من غير مس. And he could also allowed to read it and browse the book without touching it, like online or on phone. So this is the first thing. Now there are people who said no, it's allowed to touch the mushaf without wudu also, but this is inshallah the more correct opinion, because the four scholars have taken, and this hadith is there of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam where he wrote the letter Allahu A'lam. The second thing is وَيَحْرُمُ عَلَى الْمُحْدِثِ الصَّلَاةُ فَرْضًا أَوْ نَفْلًا. Offering prayer, neither obligatory or supererogatory prayers. وَهَذَا بِإِجْمَاعِ أَهْلِ الْعِلْمِ. And this is by ijma'. This is by ijma' of scholars. إِذَا اسْتَطَاعَ الطَّهَارَةَ, if he is able to have tahara. لقوله تعالى يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا قمتم إلى الصلاة فاغسلوا وجوهكم وأيديكم إلى المرافق وامسحوا برؤوسكم وأرجلكم إلى الكعبين وإن كنتم جنبا فطهروا. Because of the words, so here believe, when you rise to perform prayers, wash your faces and your forearms to the elbows and wipe over your heads and wash your feet to the ankles, and if you are in a state of janaba, then purify yourself. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, and there's a hadith of Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم also, لا يقبل الله صلاة بغير طهور. Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم said, Allah does not accept prayer without purification. This is obvious, no? رواه مسلم وغيره. وحديث لا يقبل الله صلاة من أحدث حتى يتوضأ. Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم said, Allah does not accept the prayer of one of you if you if he passes wind or breaks his impurity, hadath, hatta yatawadda, until he does wudu. So this is in Bukhari, in Muslim. فلا يجوز له أن يصلي من غير طهارة. It is not allowed for him to pray without tahara, مع القدرة عليها, with قدرة, ability to do it. ولا تصح صلاته, and his salah is also not correct. سواء كان جاهلا أو عالما. It's no this thing, even if he is ignorant or aliman, nasiyan or amidan, even if he forgot or he has done it intentionally, unintentionally or intentionally. Because there's a qaida, things which are shurut, which are to be brought, even ignorance will not remove it. Like you see, you have to do wudu, and it's a condition, right, for salah. Now, even if you forget it and you pray without it, your prayer is not accepted. You have to repeat it. But there's a reverse. Someday we could do usul fiqh or something. But the reverse is not applicable. Like, for example, covering, removing najasa, for example. There's some impurity on your body, correct? Now, you prayed your prayer and you didn't know about it. So your prayer is valid because you didn't know about it. Because you had to remove it, but you didn't know about the removal. But for bringing stuff, then you have to pray again. So it doesn't matter even if you're, I'm ignorant, I didn't know I had wudu. No, you have to repeat it. As a general rule, inshallah. In specific cases, anyway, you have to go to scholars and ask them about your specific case. Okay, Yathamu. Third thing which is prohibited is يحرم على المحدث الطواف بالبيت العتيق. It is prohibited for one in the state of minor, muhdith, الطواف, doing tawaf to the Bayt al-Atiq. لقوله صلى الله عليه وسلم الطواف بالبيت صلاة. Tawaf in the house is prayer. إلا أن الله أباح فيه الكلام, except that Allah has allowed it to speak during it. Now this is also, Shaykh Ibn Uthaymin has a long discussion about it. He says there's no clear evidence, because this evidence is like salah. That means we could only say that having wudu is mustahab and not fard. So there's a discussion about it. But yeah, generally speaking, wudu should be there, and this is what we should follow, inshallah ta'ala. Inna Allah abaha fihi al-kalam. Aw qad tawadda an-nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam did tawaf. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam also did wudu for tawaf. Inshallah, when we do Sharh Mumti' of Shaykh Ibn Uthaymin, inshallah he'll go into the discussion. وَالصَّحَّ أَنُّ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ أَنَّهُ مَنَعَ الْحَائِضَ مِنَ الطَّوَافِ بِالْبَيْتِ حَتَّى تَطْهُرَ. And another evidence is Rasulullah prohibited the menstruating woman from tawaf until she becomes pure. تطهر. كل ذلك مما يدل على تحريم الطواف على المحدث حتى يتطهر. All of that indicates that it's prohibited for the muhdith to do tawaf until he becomes pure. ومما يدل على تحريمه على المحدث حدثا أكبر قوله تعالى. And what are among the proof for major impurity, حدثا أكبر, that is prohibited to perform tawaf is يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تقربوا الصلاة وأنتم سكارى حتى تعلموا ما تقولون ولا جنبا إلا عابري سبيل. See this one, ولا جنبا إلا عابري سبيل حتى تغتسلوا. Oh, you believe, do not approach prayer while you're intoxicated until you know what you're saying or in a state of janaba, except those passing through a place of prayer until you have washed your whole body. لا تدخلوا المسجد. So this is evidence for one who's junub. I mean, a stronger, major impurity. The previous evidences he brought for minor impurity, that it's like salah and the Prophet for haid, all these indicates. And Rasulullah also did wudu for tawaf. And for major, it's a bigger thing, no? It's not allowed. أي لا تدخلوا المسجد وأنتم جنود إلا ماري طريق. So if you are junub, in the state of janaba, major ritual impurity, you should not enter the masajid except when you're mari tariq, except you're passing by. فمنعه من دخول المسجد للبقاء فيه يقتضي منعه من الطواف من باب الأولى. So he says you can't even pass by, right? Hafizahullah. He says you can't even pass by. Now, passing by is of lower. You can't even stay in the masjid. Sorry, you can pass by. You can't even stay in the masjid. So that is that shows as he's prohibited to stay in the mosque. Then, with the greater reason, one in the same state is prohibited to perform tawaf. So not able to, not even staying in the mosque is not allowed. So how about tawaf? That is a greater thing, no? وهذه الأعمال تحرم على المحدث سواء كان حدثه أكبر أو أصغر. In nutshell, these actions are same for the muhdith, smaller or bigger, it doesn't matter. Now he has وأما الأشياء التي تحرم على المحدث حدثا أكبر خاصة. The things which are prohibited for the muhdith حدثا أكبر, only for major ritual impurity. فهي, first one, يحرم على المحدث حدثا أكبر قراءة القرآن. It is prohibited for the muhdith to recite the Quran. لحديث علي رضي الله عنه لا يحجبه, يعني النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم عن القرآن شيء ليس الجنابة. Nothing prevented Rasulullah other than being in the janaba and then being in the major ritual impurity. So when you have minor ritual impurity, you can recite the Quran. Touching is a yes. Touching is prohibited, but reciting the Quran is fine in minor. But for major, it is not, because of this hadith. رواه الترمذي وغيره. ولفظ الترمذي يقرئنا القرآن ما لم يكن جنوبا. And another hadith of the Tirmidhi, he used to recite to the Quran, recite as the Quran, Rasulullah ما لم يكن جنوبا, unless he was a state of janaba, junub. فهذا يدل على تحريم قراءة القرآن. So he says, the Shaykh, this shows the prohibition of the قراءة القرآن على الجنوب, for the one who is junub. وبمعناه الحائض والنفساء. And this ruling also includes a problem now, menstruating woman and a woman who is in a state of postnatal bleeding, like after a child is born for 40 days, no? That's called nufasa. ولكن رخص بعض العلماء, but some scholars have allowed it, like كشيخ الإسلام للحائض أن تقرأ القرآن إذا خشيت نسيانه, that for a menstruating woman to recite the Quran for fear of forgetting it. But we follow, inshallah ta'ala, that she can allow, she can recite the Quran, because the comparison between junub and ha'id is not correct, inshallah ta'ala. Because junub, a person who's in a state of janaba, he can remove it any time he wants. But a woman who is in haid, she's a haid, she cannot just, okay, go and do ghusl and finish it. No, she has to wait when it finishes. Now, so the qiyas between janaba and haid is a problem. Allahu a'lam. ولا بأس أن يتكلم المحدث بما وافق القرآن إن لم يقصد القرآن بل على وجه الذكر. But if he recites some verses of the Quran which is in agreement with the Quran, but he doesn't intend the Quran but dhikr, that is fine. Even so, dhikr is allowed any time. مثل بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم, if he says بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين, لحديث عائشة رضي الله عنها, because of the hadith of Aisha رضي الله عنها, أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يذكر الله على كل أحيانه, because Allah used to mention Allah in all his conditions. So reciting Quran for major impurity not allowed. But remembering Allah in any state, you can do that. Last thing which is prohibited. So one thing which is for major is reciting the Quran. Another thing, وَيَحْرُمُ عَلَى الْمُحْدِثِ حَدَثًا أَكْبَرٍ مِنْ جَنَابَةٍ أَوْ حَيْدٍ أَوْ نِفَاسٍ اللُّبْثُ فِي الْمَسْجِدِ بِغَيْرِ وُضُوءٍ. And this is also an opinion staying at a mosque, now, that for حَدَثًا أَكْبَرٍ مِنْ جَنَابَةٍ أَوْ حَيْدٍ أَوْ نِفَاسٍ, who has janaba or haid or nifas, اللُّبْثُ, to remain in the masjid بِغَيْرِ وُضُوء, without any wudu. لقوله تعالى يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تقربوا الصلاة, the same verse, right? وأنتم سكارى حتى تعلموا ما تقولون ولا جنوبا إلا عابري سبيل حتى تغتسلوا, until you have washed your whole body, right? Except you're passing by. Staying in the masjid is now حتى تغتسلوا, أي لا تدخلوا المسجد للبقاء فيه, don't enter the masjid for remaining in it. لقوله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا أحل المسجد لحائد ولا جنوب, I do not deem the mosque lawful for menstruating women or nor for a person who is in a state of janaba. ولا جنوب. رواه أبو داود من حديث عائشة وصححه ابن خزيمة. Hmm? Ibn Khuzaymah has authenticated this. فإذا توضأ من عليه حدث أكبر. But if the person who is in major ritual impurity, he should do wudu. جاز له اللبث في المسجد. It is allowed for him to stay at the mosque. So he should just make wudu. He's not removing his by taking a ghusl. He's just doing ghusl. I mean, he's just doing wudu. He's not doing ghusl. Because the qawli Ata, because Ata said, رأيت رجالا من أصحاب رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يجلسون في المسجد وهم مجنب. What is this? مجنبون إذا توضأوا وضوء الصلاة. Ata says, I saw some of the companions, rahimahullah, I saw some of the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, radiyallahu anhum, that they were sitting in the masjid in a state of being janaba, but without anything. No, they have to do wudu for salah. Wudu of salah. والحكمة من هذا الوضوء تخفيف الجنازة. Why? The hikmah is it'll reduce the janaba. One is lessening the state of janaba so that it makes it permissible to stay in the masjid. وكذلك يجوز للمحدث حدث أكبر أن يمر بالمسجد لمجرد العبور منه من غير جلوس فيه. And the one who goes through the masjid also, if it's junub, he can pass by, right? Pass by without staying in it, because Allah said, إِلَّا عَبِرِ سَبِيلٍ, except those passing through a place of prayer. أي متجاوزين فيه للخروج منه. They were passing through it to leave from it. وَالْإِسْتِثْنَاءُ مِنَ النَّهِي إِبَاحَةً. And there's a qaida, you should remember, istithna'u min al-nahi, exception from a prohibition is allowing. Now, exceptional, in case of prohibition, it is deemed permissible. So something, this is not allowed except this thing. That means it's allowed. Obviously, no? Al-istithna'u min al-nahi ibahatun. Al-istithna'u min al-nahi ibahatun qaida. فيكون ذا, I mean, that's obvious, no? فيكون ذلك مخصصا لعموم قوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. And that could be مخصص. It could be تخصيص. تخصيص for the source. تخصيص means making it specific. لعموم قوله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا أحل المسجد لحائد ولا جنوب. So being a passerby is the exceptional case, except in case of general ruling. So general rule is that masjids are not allowed for ha'id wala junub, but we can do wuzu because of this hadith of Atta, the statement of Atta, right? Or passing by. Passing by. Last thing, وكذلك مصلى العيد لا يلبث فيه من عليه حدث أكبر بغير وضوء. Similarly, if one is in a major state of impurity, he should not stay in the Musalla al-Eid, the Eid's Musalla. Why? The prayer hall of Eid, right? Why? وَيَجُوزُ لَهُ الْمُرُورُ مِنْهُ, but he can pass by, because Allah said, وَلْيَعْتَزِلِ الْحُيَّضَ الْمُصَلَّى. Menstruating women should be kept away from the place of performing prayer. But they should join in the dua. Now, the women should go for the Eid, but the menstruating ones should stay away from the Musalla of Eid. They should have a separate place where they will join with the dua of the Muslim meal. Insha'Allah ta'ala. So ultimately summarizing, what are the things which you are not allowed to do? First is things which are common for both is touching the Quran. Both means smaller and major. The second is offering salah, obviously. Third is tawaf, which is haram. Okay, 3 things for both and 2 things for only for major. And what is for major is reciting the Quran and staying in the masjid, except if they do wudu, inshallah ta'ala, or they, and that is for only junub. For haid, again, there's a problem. Should menstruating women go to Jum'ah and stay in the masjid? As per the preponderant opinion, inshallah, they should not do that. But there are some who, again, opinions we've been taught that some scholars have allowed it. So you have to go and ask your sheikhs and see the opinion, or search for fatawa, specific fatawas on that. Al-lubthu nisa'i fil al-lubthu al-ha'idi fil masjid. Fil masjid. Allahu alam. Because fiqh is like that, no? Fiqh is like that. But we learn whatever the book has, no? Inshallah ta'ala. Then we have etiquette of answering call of teacher. Fi adabi qada'il haja. Inshallah ta'ala in our next class. Jazakallahu Khair. Barakallahu feekum. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.